February 9th, 2023. This is the Newport Board of Selectmen's budget hearing meeting on public safety. All right, Paul, where are you going to take us?
We're going to start on page 13 because I've heard that age goes before beauty.
That what goes before beauty?
So, fire chief's going first?
Talking about me or them? Is he talking about me or you?
All right, we're looking at 13.
13, EMS.
Okay,
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can make one general statement before you get going?
sure.
Just a reminder, and something you all, I'm sure, already know and appreciate. Budgets are educated guesses.
Mhm.
By the time this is adopted, elements of it will be out of round, out of date, so on and so forth, and the goal is to sufficiently fund departments so they carry out their mission. Things will be off a little bit here and there, and so it's not intended to be a surgically, established document. It's a guideline. So with that said, we'll have that.
Okay. All right, EMS. Chief, you want to just give us an update as to how we have been doing so far with emergency medical services, and
Well, I mean, I can give you an update on what the budget looks like, the current budget.
well, sort of like, how we've been able to meet demand and stuff, staffing.
It's been a struggle. So the way we're staffing right now is that we have the one full-time 24-hour firefighter EMT, supplemented by a 12-hour shift day person. And then we have, so that puts two people on, those are full-time employees. And then I backfill with per diem people. So we fill per diem slots during the day up until midnight, and then we have some people that take some call shifts overnight on midnights. And then if they come in, they get run time. So they get their hourly rate if they come in for a call. Other than that, it's $3 an hour just to be like I'm ready to go. We struggle sometimes on the weekends still, which is always going to be a struggle, I think. I mean, we've been, how can I put it? We've been lucky. Everything seems to fall in place when we get hit with those 15 call days. We just happen to have, somebody happens to be in the station. Somebody happens to be right around. And we've been able to get 3 ambulances out on the road. Other days, not so much. So I would like to get to a more stable staffing. I think what we've found is our optimum staffing for the fire department is 4 people per shift. We have a call volume that will support that.
Is that round the clock or just days?
That would be around the clock. But we could also do, if we did 2 people full-time 24 hours a day on the 4-shift rotation and still backfill with per diems, that would round out our 4 people. And that way, if you only had, we could go down to 3 and hope somebody comes back for call. But it gives you a guaranteed ambulance out and a guaranteed response with fire truck. And if you've got 4 people there, you can get 2 ambulances on the road. We are running right now about 70.2% EMS calls.
Mhm.
So, which is slightly below what the average is. The average around the state is around 80, 82, 83. But our call volumes are up. And it's not up in one specific category. It's like it went from here and then just went like that. And everything escalated. So we have experienced a 16% increase in the last 2 years in call volume. So when I started, my first year, we were like 1480 a year. This past year, we was 1718 calls, which is a substantial increase.
Yeah.
So,
How are we on billing for calls? Is that a question for Paul? Are we about average for collection and all, and what we're charging compared to other ambulance communities around? I know some of it is kind of, you can't be too far out of line with Medicare, or you...
Right. I think when we raised rates a year and a half ago or so, we knew that we were gonna collections were almost gonna stay stable, and what we build is gonna go up, and we have seen that. We
Okay.
have seen a little bit more on private pays than the regular insurance companies, but Medicaid, Medicare are still probably 65 to 70% of our volume, and that has just stayed stable,
Yeah.
pretty much, but we're getting the bills out and we're collecting them. We have the policy that we send people to collection, we accept payment plans, we've still got people that are paying $10 a month for a lot of months, but it's going along, not much has changed.
But to your question, I think that our collection rate, percentage of bills billed and collected, is about on par with most communities, maybe even a little higher.
Okay, and we're fairly timely with getting the bills out and all.
Yep, I think you guys, we get our ambulance data over within days.
Yeah, I have two
Okay.
guys that.
That's
get it.
markedly better than in recent years.
Yes.
The chief has done a good job with his
Mhm.
staff at making sure they understand the importance of getting that over here. And so I
Okay.
think I think it's pretty reasonable.
All right, does anyone else have a background question or anything they want to ask before we get into it?
Yeah. Sure. Last year, we increased the per diem rate has that helped you?
It's had an impact.
Okay, it's had a positive
Had a
impact.
positive
Good,
impact, yeah.
okay.
We've been able to attract a few more per diems
Yeah.
because of the rates.
Good,
And we've been able to get back some of our call people that were per diem other places back into the
Back in.
fold here because we're like a penny off,
okay.
10 cents off.
Hmm.
So, yeah. But, per diem employees it's like it goes in a cycle. I mean, we're going through that cycle right now. We got a batch in, and then they kind of run the course, and then they slowly fade off. And then we dip a little bit, and now we got another batch of applications that have just come in. So it's like they go through cycles with per diem people.
Good.
A couple of my per diems got hired on full-time to fire
Yeah.
departments and stuff, so their hours have been limited. I had one go to Manchester, I had one go to Laconia.
Hmm.
So we're getting, and that is helping us because the word gets out that, hey, we're a busy enough department that you're gonna gain some seat time
Yeah,
and experience. And if we can keep the person for a year or two
Yeah.
as per diem,
how's my girl from Sloppy doing?
which one? I got a couple
The
of
high
them.
school?
Oh, Alex? Well, you know what? She signed up for recruit school,
Yeah,
and she's pretty excited about that. She was at state.
she likes it over here.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
she's
don't want to
good.
go anywhere else.
I need her to turn 18.
Yeah, I know.
I gotta think her birthday's in March.
March.
Well, because I could bring her on as a per diem person,
Yeah.
because then she can get her EMS license. She's
Yeah.
passed everything.
Yeah, I know she has.
She just needs to.
She loves it.
She needs to turn
Likes it,
18 so
yeah.
she can get the state
Yeah,
license.
Likes it a lot.
Yeah, so she'll start.
What she likes is,
Does she have any friends she can bring over with her?
well, let me tell you, there's a lot of kids from Sunapee that go into fire
Yeah.
aspects, but she likes the fact that it's not totally just transport, it's doing some stuff,
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, she rode the other day. She was the third party on the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she started recruit school in March along with Alicia Day,
Yeah, yeah,
who is there. So they're both going together
Yeah, good.
to recruit school starting in March. So
Excellent.
when
I think it's great to bring
when
young
they pass
people
and
on
come
like
out,
that. Yeah.
they'll be Fire 1, Fire 2.
yeah.
Alicia will be an A here shortly. She just finished up A school. So so we're getting people trained.
Good,
So,
okay.
Yeah,
How many full-time fire employees do you have?
6.
How many full-time EMS?
Well, they're cross-trained.
So six
Six.
total,
Six.
including yourself or not including
Well,
yourself?
include myself at 7. And everybody else is a call or per diem person.
Any other background questions? All right. Let's get into the numbers then. Hunter, what is the hourly rate for the per diem now? Are we 15 or?
Minimum, it depends on their certification.
That's right, yeah. Are we looking at increasing that next year, or are we staying the same?
No, they're included in the
Yeah, they're included in this. We just
wage study.
went through that, well,
So we,
is that the ones we just worked on, that we implemented? the per diem
cost?
Well, the full-time guys are,
Yeah,
the per diems got adjustments
we just did it.
just in July, so yeah, I'm sorry, they just got an adjustment already, so they've had, we got given them 2 adjustments in the last 2 years, haven't we?
We came up a little bit, and this was that big one we just did.
Okay, so they range probably from, I don't remember off the top of my head, 15 to 20.
Yeah, it's all based on certification, so if you have no certification, you're just a member of the department, it's 13 an hour, and then all the way up to like, if you're a paramedic, firefighter 2, you're making 21. So there's a range, and it's all based on what your certification level is. And there's like 6 steps, 6 levels.
We're fairly competitive, say, with other communities?
We are,
Okay.
yeah, we are,
Good.
yeah. We're right in when we did that study, we weren't at the top, we weren't at the bottom, we were right in the middle section, so.
So the salaries and overtime and all those other cost lines are with the salary study
Yes.
properly placed? Not a thumbnail or, but
Not what
they're not guessed, we know the numbers for them?
So, in all budgets across the board, the wage study range has been applied and fully funded. There are people within that range that have not hit their final step, yeah. And we have funded the full range, so if the range, I'm gonna make it up, was 15 to 20, we funded that position at 20, but the person that's in that may end up at 18 or 19 or whatever, but they have gotten, they're on the new schedule.
So those numbers will all change at some point when we have those.
They won't get worse, they'll get better.
So maybe the adjustment, or may just be carried, in the budget, but instead of getting 20, they're getting 18.
We put them in at the maximum, so, I can say, but just for, I'm gonna say, townwide, there's 5 or 6 people that won't go to that level. There are 5 or 6 that'll be $1 less or 50 cents less. It's not really
So it's
material.
not gonna be difficult to get them nailed down.
No, I gotta go, as you probably recall, I gotta negotiate that with the PD and I gotta negotiate that with the Public Works. So I haven't released those. So we're gonna have to go to negotiations, and it's our intent to give them the full benefit of the survey unless there's some reason not to. And I think there's 5 or 6 townwide that have some peculiar reason why they need to be twisted around a little bit.
So we gotta go to the union and negotiate to give them more money.
That's right, yeah. And it doesn't always come out the way you think it
No,
does.
I know it doesn't.
You know?
I know it
Sometimes they
doesn't.
say no. Not very often, but. That's what
Sure.
I think this is probably directed more at Paul, and it's maybe a stupid question, but I don't shy away from that. On line 321, you've got EMS, something service, certification, and then you throw in holiday. Why is that all on the same line?
It's just a budgeting thing, because they get paid holidays once a year.
Oh,
They get paid holidays right after Memorial Day, and it's just been easier to lump it in there. Steve and I were just talking, the problem is they haven't had a code for that, so it's been lumped up in overtime above it, so it, or regular time above it, so it's kind of,
Those
Fine
fit
tuning.
there, but
Yeah.
it's worth-
Okay.
And there's been no actual expenses.
no, like you say, that's been absorbed up in some of the lines
Okay.
above it, because they didn't have a code. We're gonna work on that for this year.
Okay. So they get paid once a year for holidays. That one we used to have at barbecue? I missed that.
Barbecue, you mean the,
No, they used to be paid at supper.
For supper.
yeah.
That was when the pay, originally.
Oh, that was when they got
Call
paid,
guys,
that's right.
call guys
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah.
Used to like that, chief.
So pretty much because we have that line 321 with the 15,300 in there, otherwise that would have increased some of the lines above that in the past, correct?
The actuals, yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's not $299? So you're putting, was 223 in place of 299, or?
It was 321. Line 321 is what.
Well, I get that, I'm looking at it.
What do you
Line
look-
328,
328?
EMS
215,
miscellaneous.
299, Paul. 328.
320.
Line 328,
Miscellaneous
miscellaneous
longevity and
benefits.
sick time.
Oh, no, it wasn't in there. That's the sick time benefit, if you don't use sick time.
Lovely.
And Yoshi's gift cards in there. Sorry, was that stuff in payroll?
That's how Interesting.
Support local business.
Some of the lines still come back, you know?
Like a bad taco.
Radio maintenance, pretty much all the radios have been upgraded, is that correct?
I would say pretty much all of the hardware has.
Okay.
Some of the system we're still struggling with. because
Okay,
we're waiting for some
but
vendors to finish their
the
job.
maintenance parts here would, well, that should be fairly up to date.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten all new portables.
We've owned, well, new DOS portables, yeah.
Yeah, and, town, with PD and whatnot, the guts are new.
Yeah.
But we're still struggling with Consolidated and now with, I think Motorola, not Motorola, Comcast,
Okay.
to make the final switches
I'm
for-
struggling with that.
to activate the repeater that we're waiting on.
Yeah, the repeaters.
I'm not, don't jinx me.
Are we in a better position now? Remember a while ago, maybe a year ago or 2 years, we had a discussion of the fact that at times the PD could not communicate with the fire department. Has that all been straightened out?
Yeah, we're better now. I mean, we routinely on calls, we're switching back and forth on frequencies.
Okay,
Most of the time, it's PD coming over to the fire frequency, because I think it's easier for them to do that, and then we can talk back and forth, and we're using our
Okay.
frequency. I mean, we're still having issues with, we're on Green Mountain yet, so we have 2 repeaters, one on Summer Street, it's not on yet, Green Mountain's on, and the PD, you guys are on Summer Street, and Green Mountain's not on. So, that's where that consolidated thing is all.
Okay, and that's gonna get straightened out?
Yeah, and we're hoping, and from what Pete said and everything that we've looked at with the study and everything, we're hoping once the Summer Street repeater is turned on for us, we're supposed to get 98% coverage everywhere in town.
Do you have a repeater in the trucks?
We have a repeater in the rescue truck.
Okay, that's the only one.
that's the only
That's the
one?
only one, and I was holding off on buying any more of those mobile repeaters, and that one works well in Ruger and everywhere else.
Right.
But I was holding off on buying any more mobile repeaters. I wanted to see what would happen when the big repeater gets turned on.
Oh, okay.
And then I've been in talks with Ruger about possibly them putting a repeater in their building. We'll get a radio in there, one of our units that we have, that we took out of an older truck,
Yeah.
and we'll put it in their facility with a repeater on it, so that they always have, so we have comms within.
It's a big building with a lot of metal in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Plus-
getting the repeater in the truck took forever.
Yeah, it did. And then also in Ruger, we've come up with an emergency plan that we'll use their internal radio frequency for comms inside the building.
Okay. And you have that,
DPW is now more in the
Yeah.
better communication system now
Okay.
as well.
okay.
Good.
Line 345, which is fuel. Last year you used 11,331. This year you're at 6738 at half the year, so that's 13,476 for the full year. You only requested 96. That got bumped back down to 6. Are we magically not gonna use $7,000 worth of fuel?
I didn't bump it.
I know you didn't, but you also didn't budget for the full amount.
I did. I took the gallons we've used by the 375 a gallon that we were given as a price. We used 2564 gallons, and then 375 comes up.
You're on track to use 13.4 this year.
Mhm.
375 per gallon? Is that for diesel?
Yeah, that was the number we were.
Yeah, that was the diesel and gas were about the same at the time we put the budget paperwork out.
Okay.
But
I mean, certainly,
gas is down and diesel's up.
You comfortable with that?
well, diesel's, at the
Jesus.
pump is just under
Well, it's
$5.
coming down.
And we
Well,
don't,
by
we don't pay the taxes, so, what's that, say it was 75 cents?
Well, I'd be happy to comment
42 cents.
on my presentation to you. When we did it. So, when we have a lot of erratic behavior, and it's not a reflection on their activities at all, but when you have a lot of use or less use, and it's bouncing around a lot, we look to try to get to a number that is typically sufficient. And so we defaulted to the 5-year average.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
And so we believe that there's just as much of a chance of that coming out in that vicinity as there isn't. If you try to pin it down every year, the numbers will go like this all the time. And we're looking to get the numbers to do this all the time, instead of up, down, up, down, up, down, chasing trends or anomalies or things of that nature. So there's never going to come a day where somebody says to either, well, any of our departments, you spent your gas budget, so, park your car for the rest of the year. This is not going to happen. If we have, an extraordinary year on this or any other line item, they're over their budget, then we'll look to other line items and say, well, we're a little over on that, but we're a little under on this. We have to pull back a little on that, and we make it work. We manage the budget. It's not an
Yeah,
automated
because in
thing.
21, 22, you only budgeted half of what you actually needed.
Right, so that's that
So you
kind of-
discovered, you took care of it.
We're trying to kind of get it to level.
Well, that's pretty low, though. The 5-year average is,
39.
2564, which is 9615.
yeah.
So who knows? I mean, gas, who knows? I mean, it could be $6 a gallon, it could be $2 a gallon. I don't know. It's just a very erratic area, but rest assured, everybody will have all the gas they need.
It wasn't a question we have gas, just the numbers.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, should we reflect it accurately here?
Problem is, you can't figure out what accurate is. So we default to the 5-year
5-year
average,
average,
Yeah.
which would be 9650.
which is statistically more accurate.
Where are you seeing that?
It's in the
96.
right-
On the,
On the far right, in the explanation,
Because I'm seeing 3518.
yeah, and then ambulance fuel, 2,000.
Oh, that's yeah, got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
So the average
got it.
over time is actually going to be more accurate than our attempt to peg it here or peg
Yeah.
it there.
Okay.
I mean, it's the best data we can use, and, just
So you won't run out of gas, Jake.
no,
Just keep them filled up, okay, so in case you have to go out. Yeah.
Anything else on EMS? All good for now? Where to now, Paul?
Fire starts at the bottom of that page.
All right. I would imagine a lot of it the same applies.
Yep, salaries, again, we budgeted for the full impact of the wage study. That's why my line is higher than his
Yeah.
request, because he was basing his numbers on last year's plus the 1.5, and
But-
ours is gonna be considerably higher than that.
Before we move on, I want to go back to EMS for a minute. Vehicle maintenance on the ambulances, we've basically been running pretty close to what's been budgeted. Is that expected
We're,
to
we're-
continue?
We're over right now, both fire and EMS
Okay,
maintenance.
all right.
We've had a couple big ticket items. One, the utility truck out back, we put a transmission in that.
Hmm,
And that I split that equally between fire and EMS budgets.
okay.
Plus it had brake work done earlier this year.
Yeah.
So we put approximately almost $12,000 into that truck between the transmission and the brake work that was done on it.
Okay.
We've had some issues on fire side with engine 4.
That's the one we're gonna replace.
That's what we're replacing.
Okay.
The rescue truck here recently, we've had some pump work done on it. The ladder truck's getting ready to go for work. So it's been a kind of a rocky year for maintenance.
Okay.
We're just, I mean, I know it's over budget, but I've always, if the truck's broke, it's getting fixed. I'm sending it off.
Now, some of this, like with the ladder truck, that has to be recertified every so often, right?
We
That's
just-
part of your maintenance budget?
Yes, we just did the recertification on it 2 weeks ago in that snowstorm. A guy came on when it was really snowing. So he did all our ground ladders and the aerial. So that's when we found the cylinders leaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I do want to take just a half a second here to give kudos to the chief. He has been very aggressive, assertive is a better word, and progressive about maintenance on the vehicles. And I think because of that, and he can disagree with me if he wants, but over time, you will start to see fewer and less extreme mechanical failures, because I think he's being preemptive in a lot of his activities, being more diligent about testing. And in addition, we are also being a little more assertive about the replacement. We're on a good replacement schedule. I think it's fair to say that. So the vehicles are not getting as old and as in term and as needy as they once were. So I think that in time will save us money as we go along.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned engine 4. Was the work done on that necessary to keep it running until it gets replaced, or?
Well, it was during pump testing.
Oh, okay,
They had to do some work on it during pump testing.
okay. And that pump testing is something we have to do.
Annually,
Just
so I get it done annually. I get service, major service, well, the PM's done on all the trucks every year. And that's the wet service, the oil changes, all filters, everything done every year. And then, that's, for each truck, it's typically like $800, so.
Okay.
So everything goes in once a year, and then it goes in right around September first. So we get the inspection and all the PM's done on it. And then anything that comes up during the inspection or the maintenance, I get it repaired while it's in the shop.
As you know, we have a vehicle, a new fire truck under construction right now. Delivery in fall.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
It's up in the air yet.
And that would replace one of the vehicles that we've had trouble with lately and eliminate that prospect.
So basically, we need engine 4 probably for at least 9 months, right?
We're gonna probably need a little longer than that.
Okay, so it's worth keeping it,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, if it's sitting in that station, it's gonna be ready to go.
okay, good. And the new truck, aren't we getting an extended warranty on that?
I forget, I think the warranty's, 3 years on that? isn't it?
Well, the warranty initially is 1, but then every component on the truck has a different
Has a
warranty.
different-
Like, we have a corrosion warranty, frames are
Yeah,
lifetime.
that's right.
Warranty separately on axles, the pump.
Okay,
Transmission's like 7-year, it's coming with a Cummins, so that's I think it's a
Okay.
5-year warranty work.
I remember when we got the specs on it, there's a whole list of different warranties
Yeah.
for different pieces. It's hard to remember.
So,
yeah, okay. I was wondering if the price included, an extended warranty, so everything would be covered for a fixed amount.
It's supposedly on schedule and on price and on budget, so we're.
Okay, I guess we also just covered fire department equipment maintenance, so. Fire department, sorry to pull you back. How are you doing on, say, turnout gear? Is that being replaced on a regular basis?
We're on a replacement schedule, we're buying at a minimum 3 sets of gear a year.
Okay,
And then so right now I got Mike Murphy is my gear person. He's the lieutenant, call lieutenant over there in the department. He has inventoried all gear we have on hand and with dates and everything. And then he comes to me and says, okay, this is what we got that's going out of date. This is who needs gear, this is who we replace. So we're finally at a point right now that this year, we're actually only going to buy 1 set of gear that's going to be actually fitted for somebody. And everybody else's gear, we're all up to date on. So we're going to buy 2 sets of, I don't want to call it generic gear, but we're going to, like, average sized gear
Okay.
for somebody so that we can have gear on the rack for when we bring in somebody new, we have gear for them.
okay, or would it make sense maybe just to bank that money until you get the new purchase?
We could certainly do that. I mean, I guess we could encumber it, but I don't know how long you have to spend it within the next year. Is that how that works?
It's going to be contracted by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, by the end of the fiscal year. Yeah, we'll have the stuff ordered before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then I might want to hold some money over because for Alicia, because she's very small, and even for Alex, who's just slightly taller, Alex is using gear from the fire academy for her class. Alicia's gear, they have nothing to fit her, so I found a company online that rents turnout gear. So I sent the sizes in, and I'm gonna rent her a set of gear for like $600
Yeah.
to go through class, and then we can extend the rental once she passes while we order gear for her, because her gear is gonna have to be custom.
Custom,
So,
yeah.
What's the set of turnout gear cost?
3,200, coat and jacket. That's not boots or helmet. So
Right, what's the general life of a?
It's 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the NFPA code, it's 10
Okay.
years.
Generally, after each, say a fire or something, the turnout gear gets washed.
Gets washed. That's
You've got the washing machine right
Yep.
there to do it.
That's a policy in the department.
Okay, so people aren't having to take their turnout gear home and do it there with
No,
gloves on it?
so what happens is they'll come back, if it's their primary set, they wash it, and then all the full-time staff have backup sets.
Okay.
So it may be their older set of gear that's still in date, that's their backup set. So they never are without gear while the other gear is getting cleaned. And then the call staff, also we got enough now where people are in new gear and with some backup gear. So nobody would be without gear, so there's no excuse for not washing your gear to get it out.
As you, some of you already know, the two benefits, so there's probably more than two, but the two primary benefits is, A, the care of the material and the piece of equipment, but also to try to eliminate any toxins
Right.
that have adhered to the
Yeah.
the gear.
Is there any equipment we're doing without that we should consider?
Not right now that we're doing without.
Okay, I mean, I would imagine through mutual aid, stuff we don't have is available from other people if we need it.
Yeah. I mean, we in the last year, we bought some new hose, because we had some hose fail during hose testing, so we bought hose.
Yeah.
You know, every once in a while, we'll need to buy a nozzle, because the nozzle will just break,
Right.
and it's to the point now where it's cheaper to buy a new nozzle than to buy the rebuild kit to rebuild the old nozzle. So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, I mean, that's generally just routine replacement of
that's
worn
routine replacement.
stuff, but I mean, I don't know, say for like dealing with an electric car fire or anything like that, which is probably quite a specialty, is there stuff that,
Well, right now, there's some different stuff out there about dealing with those, and I've been reading a lot about how to put them out. I mean, you read the paper about these departments putting, 150,000 gallons of water on it, and it still doesn't go out. And then there's another thing I saw the other day, it's this like fire blanket thing that you
Smother it.
you cover and smother it up, so, now, these are all relatively new ideas.
Yeah.
So, it's certainly something that I'm concerned with the electric vehicles. There's more and more of them popping up, so.
so like warnings, people don't park your electric car in your garage, 'cause
Yeah.
it will catch fire
Don't-
probably.
Don't plug it into your house. Use
Yeah.
an extension cord. But right now, we're not really going without any equipment that we have. Eventually, we would like to buy a new set of cutters and spreaders for the auto extrication. We have two sets right now. We have an older set and not a relatively newer set, but a newer set than the older set. But the technology on those now has become so advanced that ours don't have the same cutting power to cut through some of these new metals on these cars.
Mhm.
And they're moving away from the hydraulic style with the pump and the hoses.
Yeah.
Now they're hydraulics, and the hydraulic tools are battery operated, and they have more cutting power than our hydraulic tools do. So, but the set that I looked at to put on the new engine 4 was like $50,000, and I said, well, we're not going to do that. We'll think about that later.
Yeah.
That might be a grant down the road. So.
All right. Anyone else, any questions or anything?
Same observation on fuel and firearms.
Yeah. All right, Herb, anything?
Good.
Barry?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. I mean, you're our resident fire expert.
I know, hey, I remember putting those boots and all that stuff on, yeah. But we rode behind we didn't go inside the truck. We were hanging on for dear life in the back.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
I don't know of an acronym for fire, but we always have one for ambulance.
Yeah.
It's ABCs.
ABCs, yeah.
Ambulance before cruiser.
Yeah, yeah.
I support that.
All right, where to now, Paul?
Bottom of that page, emergency management,
Okay,
the whopping budget of emergency management.
You're the director, chief?
Yes, sir.
And then,
going up $95 there, I see.
you can go to the Mexican food place again.
Emergency Management Center.
EOC, yeah. So that is one of the projects that we need to work on, and I think I'd like to incorporate it when we do this emergency operations plan. When we review that plan, we need to figure out what we're gonna do. My understanding was at one point it was in the basement of the PD, but it's no longer there. We really don't have one.
You got the bomb shelter in the bottom of the Opera House.
It was there once too, wasn't it?
There
There are some old,
Yeah, back in the
maybe some old crackers.
there is some emergency defense supplies down there, some crackers in
Yeah.
a container we brought over to the station and we ate some, well, I didn't eat one, somebody did, was there and he ate it and almost threw up for like half the day, but, it was pretty comical, but, yeah, we really need to think about that, we need to think about Emergency Operations Center for, in the event of, what are we gonna do? And it could be this room, for all that, as long as we have phone line and conductivity, we could work out of here. One of the issues I find though with emergency operations centers is we don't really have the dedicated staff to man it. Because if something's really hitting the fan, it's not beneficial for me and him to be sitting in here when we don't have enough people to handle the incident. So when we do have a major incident, the flooding on Coon Brook Road that day, we kind of had an EOC right there out of the back of my rig.
It was usually mobile.
Brett, myself, and Todd, and we were all right there kind of making collective decisions out of the back of that truck.
Thought the three of you guys were the ones pulling people out of the trailers down there with
We were
water
doing
up
that
to your
too, and at one
waist.
point I turned around and everybody had left and the water was like behind me and I'm like, what happened here? Where'd everybody go? So, and I had to back out, but, but we should have a formal place because in the event of if emergency management is activated in EOC, we're gonna have to have a spot for Hunter and select board members to meet at because collectively, you guys would be the ones making the financial and the policy decisions that I would recommend and implement. So you would need to have someplace, and I wouldn't expect, you come out into the back of the car and we all sit down here and talk. We need to have something to where the phone line happens, and when Jeff needs to call the governor and say, hey, we need the declaration of disaster for Newport, he can be.
I got a cell phone number somewhere here.
Well, yeah, but, it's just, and that's something that it's in the LLP right now, but it's not really well defined, so.
That's why I asked that question. So just want to make
I
sure
mean,
that was something that was being thought about.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know the basement is not,
Would dispatch work? I mean,
No.
you have radios right there, you have a second console, or just too crowded?
no, that would
Interfere?
interfere 100% with
Okay.
their activities.
Okay.
So,
Counterproductive.
so yeah, that was something, not to get off the budget stuff, but that was something that is gonna be discussed during that operations plan, because, in theory, the ideal thing to do would be if, when the radio project is done, if there was a way to put an auxiliary dispatch at the fire station, just a console, that in the event something happened at the PD, all operations could move. And if we get online with Claremont, that also helps out too, as far as the communication part of it. Because I understand now with the VIOP phone, the lines should be able to be ported in and moved. So if someone calls the police station and the police station is shut down, we should be able to port it and ring it at the fire station. Is that?
I know I'm a few years removed. There was a way to roll over the phones. That was easy. And I know there was a plan at one time to have the fire department operate as a secondary dispatch location. But that was 3+ years ago for me, so.
Hey, whenever you get there, you need to
'Cause
you need to run the run it as a drill to see if it actually works.
Heaven forbid we ever have a fire or something now that takes out that room, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Or the generator not starting.
well, that too, and, I mean, we've developed some backup plans since that problem's
Yeah.
happened, with the fire anyway. We're able to go to 415 in Keene. They can handle our radio traffic. We can dispatch right from the fire station we can tell the pagers,
Yeah.
and we can talk. But we have no way of really having the tracking that the PD can do for us through the IMC and the reporting system, and keeping track of that, so. It's certainly something that, my binder for the EOP is this big, and I got sticky notes and that's on the list, so.
Anything else for fire?
I know EM, emergency management.
Oh, emergency management. All right, sounds like for, hold on.
Gonna have more lines there next year, I'm guessing.
Okay. Paul? Or
Page 21, middle of the page, health administration, another walking budget.
Health administration. You just got reappointed to this position, didn't you?
I did,
Yes, congratulations.
thank you.
We actually did this budget on the 2nd.
Okay.
we did.
Nothing's changed since then though, right?
No.
Okay.
And next up would be capital outlay. Page 27. Line 683.
Fine, what?
683. Is the ambulance replacement. This
Yep.
has actually been moved out to a warrant article, so we'll go there next. The next line down was a request to replace the utility truck that we put transmission.
Okay. How many miles is on that utility truck?
28,000,
And it's like a 2007 or something? Or?
yeah, so 2007.
Okay.
The plan that I had in my mind was that truck, we could transfer that truck to highway, and they could use it as a mechanics vehicle, and then we could buy a heavier chassis utility. That's a 3/4 ton.
You'd want it to 1 ton at least.
Possibly a 1 ton.
Yeah.
That we could then use for a utility with a crew cab.
What do we,
That truck goes to a lot now.
Mhm.
It goes to motor vehicle accidents because it's got our sign package on it to be able to block roads.
okay.
It's the truck that goes out for call members that can't drive any of the engines and gotta get to the call. Hence why we like to get a crew cab for it, that we could take more people. We haul hose with it, back from calls, haul equipment with it. We have not put the skid unit back in it for brush fires, mainly because that's one of the issues that caused the transmission to go on that truck, because it's too heavy. So when you look at it with the skid unit in it, that truck sits like this.
Yeah.
And
How much water is in that?
that holds 150 gallons, maybe a little bit more than that. So it's too much weight for the truck.
Yeah, it's 1,200
That's-
pounds
and
of
that's
water.
That's a steel utility box on it. So not only do you got a 3/4 ton truck with a steel utility box on it, and we were putting that skid unit in it with all that water. And we were not carrying water in it because I wanted to lighten the weight up on it, and we could fill it up when we got to the scene. We didn't put skid unit in it this year.
Okay.
When I talked to Chevrolet, the guy, the Chevrolet dealership said that carrying that weight on it, and the fact that truck, like any other emergency vehicle, public service emergency vehicle, goes out and sits and idles a lot, with lights running, and that causes a problem with the torque converter or something with the transmission. So my thought process was that, that truck still got some life in it. Now it has even more life in it because we got a 100,000 mile warranty on the transmission. And if we transfer that truck to highway, they could use it as the mechanics rig, a general use truck they need. We get a heavier chassis with utility body on it, maybe a light duty plow to help out highway with our front ramp in the winter. Sometimes they get backed up and they do a good job for us, but if we could keep it clean for them, that just lightens the load on them to be able to be out doing other things. So that's kind of the thought. I priced out a chassis last year, a 1-ton crew cab through state purchase, and this was last year, and it was like 38,000, 39,000.
Okay, you got 65 in here.
And then the box itself was 20,
Okay.
and then if you upfit it, whatever, I was figuring 60. So,
Okay.
But we're not replacing the ambulance at this point, right?
We're gonna go to there next. It's gonna be a warrant article, is the way we're.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Paul.
We're on a regular replacement schedule.
Yeah, and that's part of the CIP?
yeah.
Good.
And that would
Alright.
be A2, the Ford that's down at Meadow Road.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
All right, Paul, warrant articles?
Yeah. So if you go to the back page, it's page 37 and so you'll see on line 8, you'll see the $300,000 for the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Down below on line 14, currently we have $180,000, or we will have $180,000 in the capital reserve as of June 30, 2023. And then 2 lines below that, we've had local residents with donations towards our next truck, and we have $60,000 banked from that. So those 2 funding pieces, plus the $60,000 that we've been putting into capital reserve every year, makes the 300. Doing that again, essentially, but we won't be putting it in capital reserve, we'll be putting it towards a truck. So it keeps our $60,000 investment flat,
Yep.
and it will get us a new truck, and we'll have it, a year and a half after we order it.
yeah, 12 to 24 months.
Yeah.
4% on the ambulances.
Until they find out that there's a knob on the dashboard that's not available.
Back ordered. All right?
The truck is not in there though, right? The truck you were talking about?
No.
No.
Utility? No.
No.
Okay. Got a new transmission. Is there a external transmission cooler on that?
Yeah.
All right, what's up next, Paul?
We're on the police department.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
You can stay.
So before you get started on the police department, I do want to emphasize to you, the capital improvements planning is starting to have the desired effect.
Yeah.
Things are starting to level out a little bit. It'll still take a few more years with DPW, but I think we're in pretty good shape on the fire side of things. So it's starting to have the desire, like I said, the desired effect of not blowing up the budget every year.
Given the, okay, we're gonna be looking at a new fire truck coming in about a year. And then the new ambulance 6 to 12 months after that.
Well, yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, if we place an order for an ambulance in June or July, you're looking at least 12, maybe 18, 20.
What about in May? We will know in May.
Well, I was just telling Paul, I'm working on the bid spec right now, and I've been putting in my bid spec
Okay.
June or July order.
Okay.
Because I want to get the bid out here in February, end of
Yeah.
February, and I don't want to have it say May, and then people be banging on my door.
Yeah. All right, what page, Paul?
9.
It's-
Okay.
We know how good that is.
Well, I'm excited. I might go to the station and just watch police chief.
Okay.
He's had a whopping week to prepare for this one.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Not even a whole week.
Like Brett was the same way. He started,
Jump
he was
right in
when
the
he
deep
worked
end
there.
and
Yeah.
start treading water. Or else.
All right, Chief Lee, welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And you want to give us any sort of update or background before we get into it as to the state of your department?
Yeah, I'd say the overview is right now today, we're stable. The patrol shifts are filled, thanks to Cody Foster just coming off of field training and taking a regular solo patrol spot. We are putting him in a sort of a modified shift that used to be filled by supervisors so that he's never by himself. And that's gonna be something we're gonna continue to do going forward, that, sort of the crawl before you walk, before you run. You know, they come out of the academy, then they go through field training. The last step will be, they'll be in solo status, but for a cycle of 3 months, they'll be on assigned to a shift where they're not working by themselves, so that our most junior officer is not working by themselves at 3 o'clock in the morning.
There's another officer out.
Yeah, they'll be paired with, you know, senior officers that can give them some guidance. We kind of learned a lesson with that, with some new hires, you know, 2 years ago, that after they got into field training, they were working midnights by themselves. They found themselves in situations where they weren't sure what to do and who to call, and you know, some of them ended up leaving just because they didn't feel comfortable. So this will hopefully solve that.
Does that make any sense? You have a new officer starting out, you know, patrolling by themselves for the first time, and you put them out in the middle of the night instead of maybe starting out in the daytime, when at least there's someone in the station that can always come out and assist.
Right, and that's why we're gonna start them on their first cycle in the 2 p.m. to 1 or 2 a.m. shift, where they are always partnered with either the day shift officer or the night shift officer. If you put them on a straight day shift on the weekends, they will be by themselves from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. So again, we run into that same. So by putting them on the 2 to 2, they are always partnered with another officer that can help guide them through sort of difficult situations. So it's kind of an extension of their field training.
Times change a little bit.
So overall, right now, we're doing good. Projecting the next 6 months, we do have a couple of employees that are going to be going out for some extended medical surgery, that kind of thing. So we're going to have to be creative to cover their shifts. One of our goals has been sort of long-term employee development in terms of giving the officers more advanced training. We've started signing some of the officers up for some pretty extensive schools for advanced training, and we have to cover their shifts. So between now and the end of the school year, myself, Lieutenant Burdick, Detective Marvin are going to try and pitch in to fill those patrol shifts. At the end of the school year, the SRO becomes available and can help fill those shifts as well. I'm really trying to leave the SRO in for the rest of the school year because, you know, we understand how important that position is.
What kind of advanced training are the officers taking?
We have one officer going to FTO school, Field Training Officer School, so that he can become a new field training officer. We have 2 officers that are going to tactical training. We have coming to us all of this new tactical equipment, and we're working on our response plan for incidents at the school. So we need 1 or 2 officers who will be kind of our experts on these tactical situations. We also routinely get asked by, for example, the Drug Task Force, when they have a search warrant for a drug suspect, they will ask us to serve that warrant for them. So we need 1 or 2 officers that will be our gurus in the tactical incidents. So we're sending 2 officers, Sergeant Titorenko and Officer Seymour, to that advanced training. And then we're sending 1 officer to a accident reconstruction school to become our accident reconstructionists.
Any questions, anyone? I'd imagine the same question or concern about fuel.
I didn't even look at it this time, because I know it's there.
Yeah. All right, what about your cruisers? What shape are those in?
So on average, the fleet as a whole is getting high mileage and high years. So in the long run, we would like to try to catch up in that regard. It is costing us some additional money in our vehicle maintenance budget. So if not this year, you know, we'll ask for it again next year.
Now you have 1 Dodge you bought.
Yes.
How does that compare to the Fords?
The Dodge has been really good. It's more room, more comfortable to drive. So it's performed well. We have one Dodge that's in service. We have another one that we are expecting to arrive in March, and going from there.
Okay, and you're changing the graphics on those.
Yeah, the officers kind of came up with the new scheme, and then once they kind of came to a consensus, we presented it to the town manager, who I think in turn presented it to you all, and that's what we went with.
So there's a plan to get them all consistently looking the same, so you don't have to wonder.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So your cost for vehicle maintenance is going up, all right?
Yes, I'm already over. for
I was
this-
gonna
for
say,
this-
you're
for this
halfway
year.
through, and you're almost, you're quite a bit above the budgeted amount, which, you know, we'll make it up like you said before, I mean, we
Yeah,
can do
but
it.
he inherited that overrun.
Yeah, but there's also.
I'm not saying individuals here, but I'm saying, I do wonder, the department requested 20,000, it got dropped back to 12, and we're already this time almost at 14,000,
6 months in.
6 months in. Is this another case where we're just gonna make the money up, or get the money?
We always do, and as the chiefs pointed out, there's one vehicle due to arrive in
Okay.
30 days. We'll be placing an order for another new one. And as soon as we get a final accounting number for the end of the last fiscal year, I think I mentioned to you all at some point, it's our intent to provide them with yet another vehicle, administrative vehicle, won't be a full-size cruiser, because I think the chief has, I won't speak for him, but I think they concur that the administrative vehicle will be fine for them. They'll have radios and lights, all that stuff, but it won't be, outfitted with all the rest of the gear.
Mhm.
And that is half the price of
Yeah.
regular cruiser. So they'll have 2 to 3 new vehicles in the next 3 months.
Yes, and to add to that, number one, we've spent quite a bit of money recently on maintenance to get the entire fleet, all of the kind of issues that had been building up over time,
Okay.
to a fresh place.
Mhm.
So hopefully that level of expenditure won't continue. Secondly, there was a period of time when Highway did not have a mechanic's position filled, and we were sending cruisers over to, Fort of Claremont, and I think incurring a lot higher expense
cost.
due to
Okay.
that. Highway now has that position filled,
Mhm.
so I'm hopeful that some of the more routine maintenance we can do at a lower cost than we
Yeah.
had to over the last year.
I'm just looking at, I know you'll have the money you need, but at the same point, in budgeting, I'm a little more interested in actuals. And you're budgeting at 12, and 5-year average is almost 15. So, just asking.
Yeah, I think the long-term solution is to increase the replacement schedule so that we're not repairing so many, cruisers that are 6, 7, 8 years old, over 100,000 miles. But that's a big upfront
So what are we on
expense.
now, Paul, for the CIP and the replacement of police vehicles?
We're a cruiser a year.
Cure of the year? Well, that's pretty good.
Well, we may get to the point where every second or third year, you may have to get 2.
2, okay,
Just to knock the mileage down.
all right,
But this wasn't the year for it. This is the year for the salaries. That was our
yeah,
primary
okay,
objective.
got it.
Cars are still going from primary use to secondary use. So you're not buying a detective a regular car, they're usually getting the old car turned down, right?
That's what we've been doing, that's what we're doing right now. My longer-term plan is that the chief's car and the detective car could both be these kind of administrative vehicles that don't need to be a full cruiser, that will be cheaper to operate. Because one of the costs that comes with the hand-me-down system that we've been using is we are installing, ripping out, and installing again the same equipment, several times over the life of a car. So I think if we take those 2 particular vehicles and buy cheaper, less equipped cars because they don't need all of the equipment and space of a full cruiser, then those cars won't need to be replaced, for much longer periods of time because they're more like a commuter vehicle. and we can focus our resources on the frontline cruisers
Yeah, good.
that need to be lower mileage and in better shape.
Can you put all the equipment you need in a Hyundai?
So again, I realize you're kind of joking, but
Yeah.
for a frontline cruiser, we need to stuff it full of all kinds of equipment. But for
I
the
know.
chief's car,
Chief's
let
car.
the boots on the ground, have the
Have the
expensive
stuff.
equipped
Yeah, good.
cars, and
Good,
I don't need that.
okay.
Line 215 on the detail salaries, private details.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, does that include the rather active year coming up with the town projects, and we're anticipating a lot of projects this year?
The vast majority of what you think about as details, construction details, are billed to the contractor. And so that, we don't really have to budget for that because we're already compensated for it. This is what we refer to as town details, where it's the municipality itself that needs the officer to work a detail. So those are somewhat limited. I mean, most of the projects I think you're thinking about will be billed to the contractors.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for here. All right. What shape is your station in?
The station is actually looking really good. We've started every week on Monday. All hands on deck. We've been working on cleaning out space, getting rid of old stuff that's not serviceable and in use anymore, cleaning the workspaces. So the station's looking quite good. We've had buildings and grounds, the maintenance guys in to do quite a few projects for us. So we're in good shape.
Okay, and a lot of major stuff, the roof's fairly new.
Roof was done, AC units are in, it was painted. It was
Okay.
painted last year, Jim was there.
Okay.
And the AC went in, I think, the year
Same year.
that you left, yeah, right around that. And the roof was I think the year after or so. So it's all
Okay.
relatively 2 or 3 years old,
Okay.
good shape, I think. As far as we know.
Again, like I asked the fire chief, is there any equipment be nice to have, or you feel you need to have that?
We have all the equipment that we need. Our want for this year was, it's a combination of hardware and software that I think we'll be going to on another page anyway, but for processing mobile electronic evidence, so cell phones, tablets, things of that nature.
Okay.
We're still getting a grant for DTF?
We are eligible for the grant for DTF because that spot isn't filled. Currently, we're not, it's kind of in a suspended status. If we
Drug
had
task
the,
force? Okay.
yeah, if we get to a staffing point that we can fill that position again, I anticipate we can get that.
So how many are you short now, full-time wise?
2.
One to military,
Two,
you counting
two,
that one?
no, I'm not counting that one. So,
So 3? Really?
yes, if we hired 2,
You anticipate military one coming back?
yes, and if we hire 2 and then the military one comes back, that would then open up sending an officer back to the DTF again.
At some point, there was talk of a provisional officer to fill that,
Yeah, we've been advertising for
Okay.
that position. But it's a desert,
yeah.
you know, it's just nobody.
We had 2 applicants scheduled for testing today, and both were no call, no show.
It goes to this.
Hmm. Okay. All right, Paul, where to now?
Next page is emergency communications.
Okay. Your dispatch staff, you're fully staffed there, or?
Yes. Yes, we have, we're fully staffed for full-timers, and we have two relatively new part-time
Okay.
dispatchers who, one is through training and is filling shifts for us as needed. The other is still in the field training process, but should be done very shortly. So we're actually in pretty good shape for dispatch. We also have had quite a few of our officers now have been cross-trained in dispatch, so that when there are these last-minute emergencies for staffing, we can use them as well.
Okay. And I'm gonna assume most of the equipment is pretty much up to date, Hunter?
Most of it. Yeah, as I said, we're still waiting for the two final connections.
Right.
All the internal stuff has been updated and delivered. The chief is working on making sure that what I call the first and second seats in dispatch are fully redundant.
Yep.
And ready to go at a moment's notice. And our cameras are all online now, I believe,
Yes.
last time I heard. And
Okay.
I think we're pretty good in dispatch.
I think we're pretty good too. The second station is functional currently. We actually have been using it when a trainee is in dispatch, their training officer is sitting at the second station.
Okay.
So it's functional. The only last components that we're working on are kind of extra features that are not mission critical but are useful.
Okay. Of course, with all that new equipment in that room there, the one piece that stands out is a little silver one that says Radio Shack on it. So.
And the longer term goal, we've already had a conversation with Claremont, is to be able to make Claremont and Newport virtual backups for one another.
Yeah.
So I'm oversimplifying it, but if something happened here of an extraordinary nature, either that would impair our facility or overwhelm our staff while our staff was dealing with this or that,
Yeah.
we could switch off our phones or switch off our radios or switch off something to Claremont to help
Yeah.
alleviate the load. And in some sense, you basically have doubled your staffing too, because if you had one or two staff here that were overwhelmed or unable to get to their equipment, you would have the staff that's on duty at Claremont and vice versa. It'll probably take a year or two to get that done because they're just beginning their efforts to upgrade their communications
So
system.
you've been working on that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we initially thought we might be able to do it in a unified
Yeah.
one facility, but that's a longer story as to why that didn't happen. But, so this is the next best thing, that will be electronically virtual backups for each other. And they seem to be, they were completely willing to commit to that goal. And when they redo their equipment, that will be a feature that they will have.
Okay. What else anything else for dispatch? Jim?
I'm good for now.
Okay. Paul?
Prosecution, next section, same page.
Okay. This is, salary has a big jump here, is that based upon the survey?
All
Okay.
salaries are
Okay,
survey reflected.
yep,
And that salary line includes both the prosecutor and a portion of the administrative
Yep.
assistant's salary.
right. All right, we have enough work to keep them busy?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
And I'm making sort of a succession plan for when the day comes that he retires again.
Yep.
All 9 other counties, to my knowledge, and the Claremont half of Sullivan County are all moving to a model where the county attorney's office provides district court prosecution, usually as part of a contract. The days of sort of non-attorney police prosecutors like we have they're coming to an end. Lieutenant Hogan is the best there is, and he's
Yep.
better than all of the attorneys really in this area, so we're very lucky for that. But when he leaves, I don't think it's realistic to think that we'll be able to replace him with a non-attorney police prosecutor who's gonna have his level of knowledge and experience.
Have you talked to the county about that?
Yes.
And the county basically bills us for that, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, I'm also talking to other chiefs in the area, because the more other departments that get in on that, we can divide the cost.
Yeah.
That's a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
We want to watch that.
As long as he keeps having children, we can just keep him longer and longer and longer.
Okay.
Who?
Lieutenant Hogan.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
You too.
No.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for prosecution? All good? Paul?
Okay, Capital, page 27. Line 681, 682.
Okay. So police cruiser's now up to 63,000?
Yes, fully equipped after you install
Right.
all of the equipment and have the lettering and all of that.
Yeah.
You've got two after that, we're only going to get one, right?
He's requesting two, we're only getting one
No.
now. But I can foresee a time in the next year or two, we
Might
may
have to-
have to
Yeah.
Yep.
give that a little
Yeah,
thought.
good. Those have gone up in price.
And and part of the problem is what's making it a little bit more difficult is the replacement time for these things are getting really stretched out. You used to be able to get them in a few months, now you're looking at a year and a half.
Mhm.
So the vehicle you were trying to get rid of, that came to a certain mileage that made it worth getting rid of, you now gotta keep it an extra year because you're waiting for the delivery of the cruiser that you ordered a
Right.
year ago.
Of course, back when we bought the fire chief's car, which is a cruiser, basically I was sitting on the lot and I think they were trying to convince us to just
Right.
take it off their hands.
Yeah, it was not uncommon for, if you wanted a cruiser, you could somewhere find one in the state.
Mm.
Most people ordered one, but it wasn't a year and a half in the making.
Is there any program where we sort of like piggyback on the state with their buys? You know, they're buying 20 or 30 cruisers, it's like we'll throw in one for Newport and they get shorter lead time or such, or?
We always used to buy cruisers less than state bid,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
We spec out stuff that, well, we used to spec out stuff that we didn't need all the state stuff from their bid, so we always were buying cruisers less than state. And I'd assume some of the increased cost is because we're not transferring over equipment like radios that have a 20-year service life.
Right.
You know, sounds like we're buying them more frequently than service life, or?
Well, if we're switching.
Yeah, a lot of that comes and goes in cycles, and I think we've been in a cycle where we had a lot of older radio and other equipment that kind of all needed to be
So-
replaced. We do recycle them when they're still serviceable. The other thing is just cars, the last couple of years have just gotten more expensive.
The other phenomenon that we recently occurred is when we've switched from Ford to the
Dodge?
Dodge.
Nothing from the old one
yeah.
fit.
From year to year, they don't swap those on.
Yeah, the radio console from the Ford didn't fit in the radio setup console for the Ford, or the Ram, so we had.
Crown Vic days when you could swap stuff over for 10 years in a row,
Yeah, right.
gone.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, plus also they lasted twice as long as the new ones too.
Jeff, the other thing is that if you look at last year, the cruiser cost, under that was the MTD at $6,200. This 63 is everything including a new MTD. So it's kind of rolled into one number.
Okay.
Okay,
So it's not as bad as 35 to 63, it's 42 to 63. So it's only 50%.
So much better.
And the cost to have of the equipment that goes in, but also to have it installed is more, just like everything's more.
yeah.
But our vendors to do the installation, they have longer wait times, higher vendor prices. It's just across the board.
More and longer.
How are the data terminals working? they work pretty well in the cruisers?
Yes, the one, I think, challenge that I'm having right now is that, we use, Computech is a pure IT vendor. They're not really a police
Yeah.
equipment, IT provider. So for example, the camera that goes in the cruiser, we purchase it from WatchGuard, then we send it up to Ospey Mountain and they install it in the cruiser. But Ospey Mountain will do a hardware install, they don't set up your software. But then Computech handles our computer software, but they're not familiar with, they don't send people up to do things in your cruiser for you. So, it's a challenge.
Yeah. And you have two cameras, right? A dash cam and one watching the interior?
Yes,
Inside?
yes, yeah,
And then you also have the body cams, right?
yes.
And those have been fairly reliable and such?
The body cameras themselves have been very reliable. Again, the challenges we've had are related to the software and maintaining the database, because you have, again, WatchGuard, which
Yeah.
is out of state, provides the software, so sometimes you have to almost set up a three-way conference call with your IT vendor and your WatchGuard technical support and us to do that.
Well, hopefully they learn to work together as they go on.
WatchGuard, the company that provides the cameras, you used to be able to get them on the phone immediately. They were very responsive. They got purchased by Motorola, and ever since then, the last service call that I made, it took almost a month for them to just return the call.
Yeah.
As soon as they figure it out, it changes.
Yeah, and once a big company like Motorola absorbs them, it's,
Changes again.
yeah.
It'll get easier with consistency.
Yes.
Their IT people will get it figured out.
All right, Paul, what else?
The next line down.
Digital evidence?
Thank you, Barry.
Digital evidence system.
Yeah, what this is so on average, 6 to 10 times a month in our investigations, we're seizing a cell phone because there's evidence on the cell phone. So in order to actually get that data off of the phone into a format that is then admissible and presentable in court requires specialized hardware, software, and training. Way back in the day, you could send a phone to the state lab and have them do it for you. Those days are long gone because the lab would be totally overwhelmed, and so that's really not a service they provide anymore. So currently, when we seize phones and we need that service, we are just begging, borrowing, and bartering with other agencies that have the equipment to do it for us. Claremont has a basic level of equipment, and so they help us out when they can, just as we help them out with other things that they need. Lebanon has much more advanced equipment, but so many agencies are requesting their services that they're now charging $1,100 or $1,200 a pop to unlock a locked phone and download the data for you. So that's not going to work for us. And then Grafton County Sheriff's Department has a very good mobile forensic lab, and they do it for free, but that requires 2 round trips to North Haverhill to drop the device off and then pick it up when it's done.
Sullivan County doesn't have anything like that?
They do not.
They're gonna grow.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just a little bit of background. The chief and I have talked about trying to create some sort of coalition to perhaps with the county and some of the other towns to
Yep.
kind of pitch in on this. It's a great piece of equipment. The only reason I didn't put it in is because we want to try out that, see if we can find some partners in this, but also this is just about budget balancing. It's just, it was one of the things we just had to leave out in order to get to the budget target that we needed to achieve, so. But it's a great piece of equipment, and as time goes on, it's going to be more and more valuable.
But you say it's half a dozen times a month or so you?
Yeah, on average, I would say between 6 and 10 times a month.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll seize 6 or 10 phones in one investigation. Other times, you might go a couple of weeks without needing to do it, but
Okay.
it's very rare, at least in the detectives division, that every single sexual assault investigation, every single one of these drug sale trafficking investigations involves seizing phones and downloading the data. There's kind of a cat and mouse game right now too between the phone manufacturers beefing up security and privacy
Yeah.
in phones, and then who would be our vendor for this equipment, having to upgrade their software to then be able to handle that.
So, with the phones you seize now and the process you have to go through to get the evidence off it, about how many man-hours a month of extra time does that entail now, that if you had the equipment right here in town, you'd be saving?
Yeah, probably 20 man-hours a month, and the other benefit is when we seize a suspect's phone, I don't mind keeping it as long as we need to. You know, if Claremont needs a week or 3 weeks to get it done,
Yeah.
no problem. Oftentimes, we need a victim's phone to get the evidence off of
Right.
that. So we're asking for their voluntary consent. Will you give us your phone so that we can get the evidence off of it?
Yep.
And their first question is, well, how long do you need it? And we have to be open with them. Well, it might be a couple days, it might be a week before we can return it to you. If we had the equipment in-house while the victim's being interviewed, we could download it and return it to them before they leave the building.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like, what'd you say, 10 hours of, 20?
That's 6 weeks a year with the gaining in man-hours, right? Productivity.
Right, what I'm saying is, you know, you're
Gain
probably
a month and a
talking an
half.
easy $1,000 in salaries there, easy. So you'd
this
pay it
piece-
off within a year.
Sorry.
So my personal hope is that sometime in the not-too-distant future, we'll be able to partner up with 2 or 3 folks. We'll buy it, and they'll help pay for it, or they'll pay a fee to use it, and it will be basically pay for itself. So,
Yeah,
you know, we'll get it
Right.
at some point. I just don't think it needs to be budgeted. and
well,
keep it in balance.
that's what I was looking at, you know, the man hours we save by not having to go to Claremont or Lebanon or wherever, when we're talking down 2 or 3 officers right now.
Is this a good one? I mean, is this a state-of-the-art thing? This is,
Today, maybe not next month.
I know, but I mean, right now?
Yeah, so, well,
I don't want a little cheapy thing.
No, it's not a little cheapy thing. It's good. It is a basic one in that it doesn't have the advanced like password cracking capabilities. But in order to get that equipment, you're talking huge money. I mean,
Okay.
$70,000.
Yeah.
It's not realistic for us to seek that level of equipment at this stage. But this would get us equipment that we could probably get into, you know, 2/3 of the phones ourselves without
Mhm.
having to seek outside agency support. We also try to get creative when, you know, if we know that evidence is on, for example, Facebook Messenger, another option instead of trying to get it out of the person's device is to send a warrant off to Facebook itself and get that data off of their server. So
Mhm.
we try to be creative to get around it when we,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, can't get it off of a device itself.
But I would hope, you know, like, I hope we're gonna move fairly fast on this. I can understand the budgetary aspect of it.
Yeah, no,
But I mean,
if we can build a partnership, we'll have it before you even.
it would
post
seem
the
to
budget.
me, it would be foolish if something like, what does the sheriff's department do?
Yeah, the sheriff's department does not seize many phones because
Maybe
they
it sees more.
don't do a lot of that type of work.
We get 2 or 3 people together, we'll have. it
Yeah,
before-
that's what I mean.
before town meeting.
So let's just, yeah, when you can, yeah. I understand the budgetary.
Yeah, we do this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Which suspects aren't gonna post to social media about their,
You'd be surprised.
it's,
What hurts with this is not the initial cost to purchase it, it's you have to then
Training.
pay a licensing
Oh,
fee
yeah.
every year to maintain it.
Yeah. And somebody's gonna get trained.
Yes.
If Hunter's idea work, I can already see it in a couple of different lines. They got the money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We'll do it. I mean,
Good.
Not the
Yeah, 'cause I think
gasoline.
that's important,
Yeah, I mean,
particularly in this day and age.
Frankly, I mean, we do this at the last quarter of every year.
We can
We
increase.
look at the
we can-
budget, we see what's left over, we look at the things we really have missed during
Yeah.
the year, we'd like to keep off the next year's
I
budget.
understand.
And we get
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So this
so
would be very easily one of
hopefully
those.
that'll
So we can
maintain a
decide how we want to.
priority aspect for it, you know. I understand what you're doing, I think it's a smart thing to do. Let's see another way to get it. Yeah, okay, good.
All right. What's next, Paul?
Hey, Kate,
I told my wife 8 o'clock, unless there's something else you'd like to do.
We got 4 more minutes to make that not happen.
All right, thank you, chief, for coming in.
thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So how's it been, 3 days on the job?
It's been a whirlwind. I said the other day, I have compound ignorance. I not only don't know things, but I don't even know what I don't know yet. So
Okay.
we're working on it.
Okay, all right.
6 months, that feeling goes away a little bit. After about a year, you kind of almost feel comfortable.
Looking forward to that.
Okay,
Good.
all right.
Have a
good
good
night.
night. Thank
Before
you.
you run out that door, I want you to understand that, 40 years ago. Here. Hit the road,
Yeah.
first night.
And it goes without saying, you don't put a brand new
Training.
person on midnight.
I said to the supervisor, I said, what do you want me to do with this? He said, go out and drive around. Nuts. Nuts.
Thank you for putting your new people on mid-shift.
I know we've gotten used to calling it the supervisor shift. I don't know that that's gonna be the supervisor shift forever. I think that mid shift is best for the new employees so that they have the support that they need because, it's a shame when you invest almost $100,000 in a new employee and then they quit after a year because they don't feel like they've gotten the training and support that they need. So,
Good.
if we're gonna retain our people, you can't just throw them in the deep end and say, figure it out.
Not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
Good.
So, and we always used to say in the past, like, oh, if you need help, just call. But for a brand new employee, when they're by themselves and they find themselves in a sticky situation, it's hard, that phone weighs 100 pounds to pick it up and call the chief at 3 o'clock in the morning. And of course, they're welcome to, and I will always take that call, but it's hard for them to say, oh, should I bother him? Do I want to wake him up? No, So if they have somebody, a senior guy working with them,
It's a lot.
there's
Hopefully
somebody
lieutenants
right
get
there. It
that
is a
phone call
liability.
first.
Yeah. And it's a safety issue too.
Yeah.
You didn't catch that, did you?
I didn't
So
know.
hopefully lieutenant's getting that phone call first.
He does, yeah.
It's a liability.
It is.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so, you all, I'm sure you understand this, but I really want to emphasize this. It's going to be a group